So today we are going to be making beeswax wraps. You need a big piece of cotton fabric. I've got a fat quarter, so it's quite easy if you just want to buy exactly the same size. It's a funny size, it's 18 inches by 22 inches. But they do sell them in the shops as fat quarters. This is left over from Christmas. I received a present, someone had wrapped the present in cotton. I've edged round 3 sides already with these pinking shears to stop the wrap from fraying. I'm just going to go along the final edge. Now, beeswax wrap can be used in place of cling film on things like sandwiches, cakes, covering dishes in the fridge. You can't use it on raw meat, and I think it probably would go a bit stinky if you wrapped cheese in it. So it is a great alternative to cling film for so many uses. Okay, so that's the final edge gone along with the special pinking shears. Now you want to cover your beeswax wrap in a mixture of beeswax and pine resin and jojoba oil or jojoba oil, however you pronounce this. Now, this beautiful block came from a little company in the Lake District called Molly and Meg, and it contains all of those things. So it's the beeswax. The pine resin is to make it sticky, so when you wrap around your sandwiches, the cotton will actually stay in shape, a bit like we're used to with cling film. And the jojoba or jojoba oil adds a bit of an antiseptic kind of quality. So I've already started shaving a bit off the back of this block with a cheese slicer, and I've had it heating on the hob in my double boiler pan. That's been on the hob for about 5 minutes. It melts very, very easily, particularly thin slices, and I've used 10 grams sliced into that pan and then heated. Now, what you need to do is make sure you have got the area you're working on covered with an old towel. Then you put down some greaseproof paper, which you're then going to put your beeswax wrap material on top of, topped with another piece of greaseproof paper. I use these 2 pieces of greaseproof paper whenever I am making a wrap or whenever I'm ironing over an old one with just a little bit more beeswax grated on to something called refreshing it. So these are already quite waxy, so they do actually have some wax on them already, which helps to cover the cloth nicely with a layer. And then I don't throw these out, so this is not single-use greaseproof. I do use it again. So we want to shave a bit of the block. It's a bit like, reminds me of when you put mozzarella cheese onto a pizza. You want to spread it out so that when it melts, the whole area is covered. So we just dot it around. Right, that's quite well covered. So we're going to now use the iron. Press down. And heat. And melt beeswax onto the fabric. I use a combination method of ironing and brushing with pre-melted beeswax. When you iron it, you can feel and see the beeswax melting. You do have to leave the iron on there over the bits where the beeswax is a little thicker until it properly melts. And you can feel it going from lumpy to just smooth with the iron, and I can actually see it, it looks saturated underneath the greaseproof paper. Continue to pull it. Now you can see there's some dark patches where the fabric is getting saturated already. I'm going to now turn around my greaseproof paper. Iron a bit that hasn't yet been ironed. Rearrange where these are. The lumps have pretty much disappeared, and now I'm going to turn over and iron on the other side. Now it's actually easier to see because the fabric's so dark on the front anyway. When it's saturated, it doesn't look that different. On the back, it's easier to see where the gaps are. So now you can see where the gaps are. You need to once again take a bit more of your wax and dot it around to fill in the largest of those gaps. Okay, getting pretty well saturated now, but still around the edges there are bits where the cotton hasn't got saturated. So at this point you can use your melted beeswax. Stay liquidy in the pan because it is a double boiler, so it's got some hot water underneath. Right, I'm really pleased with how saturated it looks in the middle now, but around the edges I still think it looks a bit thin to go on to the edges. And there we go, a really well saturated beeswax wrap. I shall let that cool for a few minutes and then it's ready to use. You do need to make sure it's not touching anything while it's cooling because it will, anything precious, because it will stick to it. But then it will be ready to fold around sandwiches or cake and use in place of cling film. This is not a really quick method, this ironing and brushing on and re-ironing and grating, but it is a calm method. It's quite relaxing to do, and you're not splashing yourself with boiling wax, not dipping it in, not getting oversaturated, and you don't really waste anything either.